Hi guys, coming to you from the studio here. It's a collaboration with Digital Lab, and what we're trying to do is, or what the lab is trying to do, is help you guys out in this next year. We all know it's been a tough year this year. We've all struggled and we've all suffered. So coming forward into 2021, the guys are looking at helping you out with selling your products, and one of the best ways to do that is actually having product shots on your website. Now, alongside this video, I know that Nina Mace is going to do one on marketing your products. I know that Maggie Robinson is looking at doing something with the lab as well on selling your products and how to sell before your actual client comes in and the sales process. And also Andy from Aperture Design is doing some work on some templates to drop into your website so you've got product pages on it. Now, we've all used products in the past and we've all taken images that we've been given from the labs and samples and things like that. This is nothing better than producing your own product sample shots so that you can do your style, your branding, everything else all within one contained product. Now, the best way to do that is actually look at what you're shooting and look at making it all cohesive with your brand. Now, for me, my products are very organic. The way I shoot is more of a fine art, natural type of style. So I'm looking at shooting my branded products and my products in a way that is cohesive with the rest of my websites. There's no point me, I do the odd white background shot, but there's no point me shooting my products on white when actually this is the kind of setup that I use for my actual photographs. So doing it this way, it means it all ties together and it means that it's great for you, for your brand and all of that. Now, what I'm not going to say is do it the way that I'm doing it with the same kind of setups and stuff like that. Find your own that match your style. And that's the easiest way. So what I'm going to start with is showing you how I would set up. Now, I've got my background here. It's one of my photographic backgrounds from Click Props. It's great because I'm going to shoot people on it so people can see it with my products. It all ties in on the website. And again, I'm just using things that, to me, match my brand. So I've got a little bit of floral fabric with a bit of texture. One of the most useful things for me is Hessian. So this is a Santa sack. I'm just going to use the other side of it, try and screw it up a little bit, get a little bit of curves in it. And again, with my backdrop, it's all going to come together. So I'm going to start out by using this as a base layer. It's a bit like photographing newborns, really. Setting that up, getting lots of ruffles in it. I don't want any of the backside showing as such of it. Get that nice. And then I'm not shooting anything straight on. I want angles on everything because it makes it more visually interesting. So then I take the Hessian, take it over the top, get a little bit of texture in that as well. It's quite a stiff one, this, so I'm having to get a little bit manhandling in it to give it there. And that's giving me a bit of depth. And again, so that's going to be my overall, maybe create a little bit more of a point on this end to bring it in together. And then I take my product. It's one of my favorites, and it's one of the longest standing products I think that we're still using nowadays. The Fine Art Natural. Now the important thing about this, if I just show you a picture of it, it's great, but there's so much that's important to the sales side of this. The fact that it's a textured paper, which has got a hand finish on it, that the woodwork has depth and it has grain and it has some, driftwood type effects, and then the staining on it means it's more than just a picture as such. So I'm just going to position that, and again, just to break up those textures a little bit, make sure there's ruffling all the way around like we would do if we were shooting a fabric backdrop. And then I'm just going to bring in a little more, again going with my own branding, nice and organic, some little wooden pieces. It's important from a visual point of view that we use odd numbers. For some reason the brain computes it as more interesting than if it's even numbered. So I'm doing everything in 3s or 5s. So just again up here, little wooden hearts. But just tiny details that just tie in all that branding. So nicely on there, and maybe another 3 pieces of wood over this side to just create a little bit more depth, a little bit more texture. So that's my simple setup. I've just got big octabox, no diffusion on it. Normally I would use flash, but because we're working with video today, I'm just using the modeling light on my ELC 500. It's important that I get my colors right, so I'm going to do a grey card shot. So that's my first shot. just using my Sony 35mm lens because it's great for close-ups and it means I can also stand up and get the full shot. So get my checker in, make sure that's good. So now we've got mixed light sources in here with a little bit of window light plus the light from the ELC, so that's done now. So I'm going to start off and I'm going to come up and get my overhead shot, nice and simple. Shoot it from different angles, give myself a bit of space so I can rotate it. And really, really important is to make sure that one of the shots that I do, I allow a lot of space around it, both sides, so that I can actually use it to put some text in. So we'll do that. So again, coming up, creating a bit of space to the right, bit of space to the left. And again, it's just going to be great if I need to put it on a website with some copy, some text. So now I've got that overall shot, nice and simple on that, and I'm just using AV on my camera. I've got it ISO 400, shooting at f2, nice and shallow because I don't need all the detail in the background, it's all about the shot. And now I'm going to get those little detail shots. So things like, you know, much more interesting to shoot a corner rather than it just being a chevron shot that's actually got an image in the background. So I'm just coming into that. And again, I never know which way I'm going to have to put this on my social media or on my website. So I'll try it from different angles. I'll do an overhead. All of those things, a real close-up. Just to get different shots. Just listing different details so that I can really, really use them to help sell my products. And again, this one I've taken with a lot of negative space to the right hand side so I can just do a little media shot with a little bit of branding on it. Nice and simple, get those textures, nice and shallow. Also get the print, show that has got its texture, just adjusting the settings. And all of that is just giving me more social media content when I need it, and it helps to just show that this is what we do and this is what we sell. Okay, so we've done the fine art natural now. I'm happy with the shots I've got, different social media shots as well as product shots. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap that out and I'm going to bring in some matted prints. Again, something that a lot of people sell, and it's there isn't as much texture, there's not as much you can do with this, so I'm looking to create a little bit more texture with my background on this. Now for me, I think the floral will be too much, so I'm just going to strip it all out. Mix that up, still keep the same background because it'll all look nice and coherent. Get my Hessian and just look at a way of just giving that a little bit more. And so, I'm going to start with I'll start with a child image, again because it's what I'm well known for. So I'm just going to fan those out because I've got 5. Show a little bit of variation. Such, put them on there, keep my texture. And again, because I'm not using the floral, I'm going to bring in a couple of other elements. So a little bit perhaps of actual some flowers. Some pine cones would be really good. And it's dead easy to collect at this time of year. So again, just keeping that into my 3s again. Maybe bring the little wooden hearts back to just tie it all together. Nice and simple. Actually one of my favourites, those. And that just, again, just giving us a slightly different look that works well. Maybe another 3 hearts just to this side to make it all look the same. Same lighting setup, just that simple softbox. Just coming over. Now, because there's not as much texture and detail in these, then I'm going to look at creating more with my angles and such. So I'll start with the overhead, like we did before. Still on the 35mm. Just get that focus where I want it. Get them closer. Get a little bit of an angle. Get that slightly wider shot. So I can put text in both ways. And then come and I can start concentrating on the actual product. So things like the beautifully corner cut mounts, make sure I get shots of things like that. The actual quality of the print, give it a bit more of a realistic setting so people can equate to it. And it gives it a bit more life than it's just being a matted print. So again, nice and fine. Show off the detail, the quality of the actual printing. Slightly different angles. And I've just got those different product shots. And one thing that I work with as well is, say you do multi-genre. So I've got a fine art natural type shot of a child there. I'm going to swap it over and maybe look at something a little bit different, like maternity. So if you're a newborn photographer, but you also shoot maternity, make sure that you get different images photographed. Just mix it up slightly, and then you can show those for different products. So just different floral attributes, maybe bring in a little heart, just again to just show that way, you know, that beautiful softness that comes with all this kind of work. Nice and simple, and again just reshoot it. Different angles, different overheads, make it work for you. A little bit of focus where I want it. Show that quality of the product. And particularly at these times when we can't have people touching and feeling everything as much, then it's important that we do show that there is textures, that there is colour, that there's richness and things like that. So again, overhead. Get the standard shot, nice and simple. And one thing I always do is I'll come back a little bit and I'll just get a plane out, so I can always expand it if I need to afterwards. So just another way of shooting a different product. Okay guys, one of the things that I know you lot struggle with, and it's important that I can try and help you with that, is things like reflective surfaces. Now, they are a nightmare. It's not so bad getting the light so it's not reflecting, but the problem I have in here is because I am actually lighting this, I get the ceiling reflected. So I'm going to show you a little workaround with that can work really well. Now, I've started to bring a little bit of interest in with a little bit of Hessian down here, which has raised that corner. I'm just going to raise this corner to match with a little bit of blocks, so it keeps the print surface nice and flat. And there's a reason for doing that I'll tell you in a second. So again, I'm just going to bring a little bit of colour in, a little bit of floral that's just going to come out the edge of the frame. I'm making sure it doesn't go over the print on this, because it's much harder with it being a bigger product than that. There's, you know, I don't want to do too much around it because it'll get lost a little bit. So a little bit of pine cone work, and that will probably do for my styling on this. Now I'm just going to clear off my edges a little more because I know I'm going to have to shoot wider. Now, unless you've got the luxury of a product type studio where you can set up a background behind your camera position or across your ceiling to blanket all out your reflections, one of the things I do is make sure you can get that overhead shot plumb overhead. So it's dead easy on a mirrorless because I can flip my screen out. But by doing that, what I can do is I can get my photograph of the actual product. So I'm coming up nice and high, getting right overhead. And then what you can do is you can take a digital copy of the actual image. And if you've got any reflections or anything like that, you can drop it over the top. As long as you've got no reflections in your glass, drop it over the top and composite it in and make it fit your frame, and then you won't have any issues with anything reflected overhead. Because I've no reflections on my glass, but I'm actually getting a vision of my arm in the shot because I've got to hold the camera over. So it's a simple way of just doing that for your big overhead shot. The rest of the shots, the details, I can just work with nice and close again, get those little samples that I want, where I want them, so that the great textures in the frame, how it sits with, you know, my kind of wall hangings or where it's going to go in the house. Get those, the nice double cut mounts. And I'm working around this so that because I'm working at the angles, I am getting reflections in the glass. So by working around, I can get to areas where I'm not getting reflections and get those shots that I want. So again, but the biggest thing is the work around by getting that flat overhead so we can drop the image in. Hi guys, one of the things that we've talked about with the guys at Digital Lab and Alex in particular is how to make our product shots a little bit more interesting. You know, rather than just shooting flat lays all the time, one of the things that we came up with was to actually create almost a room set for it. So again, just using the stuff I would normally use in my shooting, is just to create a product shot for, you know, a great image on a great frame here. So we just put it on an easel because I didn't want to mark my wall. But normally if I was doing it on my product wall, it would just hang it properly. Got it at a nice angle, so I'm getting zero reflection. This is the art glass, so it is much less reflective. But it's just showing all that texture and all that detail. I've just got my big Octabox again and my ELC to just throw some light, nice soft light all over it all. And I'm just going to create that kind of shot that I would normally shoot my subjects on and just tie it all together. Okay, so this is just going to show you how I would shoot this. So you can see the setup here, nice and straightforward. I'm just going to come back to here, frame it up how I like it, just the same. Get that big overall shot that shows it in the setting, nice and simple. And then I'll come in, and again I can get those detailed shots. I've just got to pick my angles so I'm not getting too much reflections, and I get those detailed shots where I want them. So like the corners, those kind of things. But I probably, to be fair, for those kind of details, I'd probably set it up as a flat lay. These are just little additions that I can just show. So nice and simple stuff, just getting those extra shots, but just showing you something a little bit different rather than just doing everything as a flat lay.